Hello and welcome. I am here to give you a boost today. I'm Erin Green. I'm a registered dietitian and a former professional triathlete. But don't let that scare you. I actually fell in love with the pure joy of movement at a very young age. And I hope to share that love with all of you today and motivate you to get moving, to find a way to boost your day. And we'll talk about some of the benefits of just having joyful movement and making it easy for you to do. This presentation is specifically designed for our food service professionals. So, those of you listening today, I hope that you're here ready to learn and curious and interested in this material and wanting to either practice some of this stuff yourself, or if you're in management or a supervisory role, I would love for you to inspire your staff and build this into your culture. We're going to go through some different strategies on how to do that and really just open things up so you can start seeing the benefits and how you can build this into the workplace. Whether you're in a management role or a food service professional yourself, today's presentation is going to provide you with the information to give yourself a boost. So I chose this picture intentionally because as a professional triathlete, you can imagine my day was filled with very rigorous and structured training. I had a daily schedule, a weekly schedule, even, months on end of building toward races. Yet I never lost that joy of simply moving my body and celebrating what my body could do for me and keeping it strong in the most subtle ways. So this picture captures that. This is me just jumping in the pool after a really hard swim set. So I want that to kind of set the stage for today and really help you see how movement, not just exercise like we're told, but movement in general can really improve your physical health, your mental wellness, and really boost your workplace culture as well. So we know that physical activity is really important for just physical health and healthy outcomes. But we often lose sight of the energy that we get from moving our bodies that actually contributes to better mental capacity. That's right. We think better when we move. We concentrate better when we move. We sleep better and we can focus more when we move. I even have another point a little bit later on this slide talking about creativity. So don't forget that our mental state really thrives off of physical movement. We know that movement provides improved physical stamina. And so that is super important for our food service professionals. You are going all the time, especially with this unprecedented challenges that we've been met with in the pandemic. We want to keep you strong and moving for years to come. So today's presentation is going to provide that information for you to stay strong and continue thriving in your jobs and feel good doing it. Increasing blood circulation, increasing oxygen delivery to our muscles and our brains and our digestive systems. Really, there's so many benefits to physical movement that telling you that it just boosts energy sometimes just falls flat. I really want to explain how our bodies can operate better as we move. A lot of people don't realize that movement also leads to a better mood. There's a lot of research supporting this. We see lower rates of depression. In fact, one of the studies I came across as I was preparing this showed that those who exercised had fewer poor mental health days by 43%. That is a huge reduction. And this is in the workplace, not necessarily food service, but I think that this could probably apply to many of today's workers. If we move our bodies, we will feel better mentally and it will boost rapport. Think about how your mood can play off of everybody else's mood in your workplace. If you're a supervisor, think of how fun it might be for staff just to move around a little bit and do something a little out of the ordinary, a little more fun, maybe during a staff training or even a meeting. So I've got some ideas for you there. Not to mention improved mood and less pain and improved feel good chemicals in the brain. All of these things will lead to just a happier staff. Pain management is huge with movement. A lot of people tell me they can't exercise or they don't want to because, man, their bodies are tired and they're just aching at the end of the day. Well, I've got some specific strategies for you today that will address the pain management considerations that we see in food service. So, tired feet, tired hands from chopping, from kneading dough or stirring things or opening boxes and packages, tired backs from carrying, heavy bags or containers of food, and just standing stagnant all day. I've got some specific exercises and movements that are going to counter some of the common, um, I guess, daily movements that we see in food service that we need to kind of remedy through movements that counterbalance that. And then, of course, long term positive outcomes. This is another one we often hear, and it sort of falls on deaf ears. Okay, yes, we know that exercise decreases cardiovascular risk, it decreases the chance of diabetes and stroke, and improves depression. You know, you don't have to go to a gym or have structured exercise in order to reap the benefits of just regular movement. And that's what I hope to show you today. And then one of the things I already mentioned before is enhanced creativity. I have read so many stories and heard so many stories on the news, especially throughout the pandemic, that our food service professionals, I mean, you guys are really pivoting at every turn. I mean, you're getting creative with how to deliver meals to kids that can't attend school, or, just pivoting with all of the regulations with the pandemic and the supply chain issues. Oh my gosh, the creativity that's demanded of you guys is off the charts. And giving your body a chance to move and turn off your brain from all of that focus can actually really be beneficial. So we'll see how we can infuse that into our day. So I want to touch really quickly on boost barriers. And I have three of them that I constantly hear about. The first of which is time. I love this quote. There is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing. The critical piece here is putting movement at the top of your priority list. We only have so many minutes in the day. Where does movement fit in? How are we going to carve out that time? I know that in the description of this presentation, I said 20 minutes, but man, you can do a lot with just 10 minutes. Scheduling can be a challenge for food service professionals. Early mornings, or, maybe working a double shift because somebody called in sick, or, there's extra training involved because of the regulations from the pandemic. I mean, there's tons of different things that tax your schedules and your available time. Maybe you have family obligations as soon as you get done. So, get done with work. And so a lot of times those are barriers to people fitting in this movement. I've got for you a list of specific movements, and I'm going to show you a little demo here in a bit, that if you pick just 4 of these fundamental movements, one from each category, I'll explain what that means. It can mean the difference between feeling good, having less pain, being in a better mood, reducing risk of chronic disease, and really just having a better time at work. Okay, another boost barrier is accessibility. I like to remind people, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Again, we hear all of these things. Go get a gym membership and buy a set of kettlebells for your house. Well, that's just not feasible for everybody. So all of the activities I have today can be done anytime, anywhere with no special equipment. And again, these movements are specifically designed for those of you that are on your feet, having your hands reached out in front of you or stirring something all day and, not counterbalancing those movements regularly. We're going to fix that. I also want to point out that not everybody has access to outdoor spaces. So we want to take advantage of when you have access to outdoor spaces. How can you, maybe as a workplace, take advantage of that? Is there something you can do with a staff training that involves going outside? Is there something you can do to encourage your staff to get outside more? Maybe have like a sticker chart that if somebody, went and walked around, the block near the school, or if they went and did something, then they get a sticker on their chart. There's a lot of creative ways to do this, but make use of some of the outdoor spaces that are really advantageous when you have a school environment, because not all workers have that accessibility when they go home. and make it part of your workplace culture. Maybe you guys can, as a school or as an industry, can invest in a little bit of equipment and have some space set aside for food service professionals to go and do some of these movements. Maybe just installing a pull up bar and getting a set of bands would be a really easy fix. Maybe leveraging a PE teacher or a coach who would love to lead a quick little boost session in your school, and you have a special room set aside for that. And maybe, a quick paid break time where you can do that. Again, lots of different creative options. I'm leaving it to you, those of you in the supervisory roles or those professionals that are listening to this and want to take some of these ideas back to your supervisor. I think that a lot can be done with this. You have to believe that these benefits will actually come to fruition. Okay, my final boost barrier that I wanted to address is the know how. A lot of people don't know how to do these movements. Maybe some of these movements I'm going to show you, you've never seen before. I love this quote: knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. So basically, if I'm forcing this information down your throat, you're probably not going to hold on to it and be that excited about it. But chances are everybody who's here and listening to this has some interest and some curiosity and is really invested in trying to improve that physical wellness, that mental wellness, and the overall workplace camaraderie. So, again, a lot of people are unsure how to perform these activities. Gyms can be intimidating. Everybody else knows what they're doing, but I'm new. I don't know how to do this stuff. Maybe you can't afford a gym or a personal trainer to show you certain exercises. I'm here to help. So, this simple video I'm going to show you walks through 12 of what I call the Boost fundamental movements. And all this is a compilation of gentle exercises, stretches, and movements that I have handpicked because I understand the demands placed on food service professionals, and because I have a degree in sports science, and because I have been training in the physical wellness space for well over 20 years. I am qualified to provide this information to you, and I want to share it because everybody should have access to this information. Knowledge should not be a barrier. And of course, I want to provide some inspiration today. I want you to put together your own boost program that works for you, whether that is in your facility, whether you are a food service professional watching this and you're like, man, I really just need, a quick 10-minute routine that I don't have to think about that's going to help me feel better. You've come to the right place. Okay, so let's just cover the basics before we get into the specific movements. I really want everybody, I'm going to reiterate this, start where you are. If you have been physically active for some time and your body's in great shape and you just want to kind of take it to the next level, there are some activities on this sheet I'm going to provide that are next level. They are a little more cardiovascular in nature, they are maybe a little more dynamic. However, if you're starting from scratch and you're like, man, I don't even know the last time I tried doing a push up, that's cool. Let's just start with lower intensity and stretching. Do what feels good. And I can't emphasize this word enough. Be gentle with yourself. That means mentally and physically. So be gentle physically. You have a lot of different activities to choose from here, but also be gentle mentally, because anytime you start a new physical activity program or try a new movement, some people hold themselves to really high standards and they might just get frustrated and give up. Please don't do that. Be gentle with yourself. Start where you are. Okay, the next piece would be consistent. Again, when you start at a level that is doable for you, you are much more likely to stick with it. Oh, that felt really good. That wasn't so bad. I'm going to do this again. You have to make time for the most important things. And this needs to be an important thing. Your physical body is how you provide to your community. It's how you make money for your household. It's how you implement different strategies on the job and lead your team. So it's really important to take care of your physical body. It is the vessel through which you move through this life. Get creative with how you put this together. It might mean, oh, I have an extra 5 minutes in the morning. I'm just going to do these two movements that I know feel really good before my shift. And it might mean I come home and I do these two more movements because I know they feel really good. Again, you can pick when and how you implement this, and remind yourself that you and your team are worth it. Okay, finally, we're going to just go through 4 of the fundamental movements on the next slide. And I have a little tutorial video that I'm going to show in just a couple minutes. The fundamentals, the Boost fundamentals that I've come up with, one is they're in different categories. So one category is upper body, one category is lower body, one is core. So that's everything basically between your pelvis and your neck is your core. So I've got some fundamental movements there. And then your extremities. Oh my gosh, tired hands and feet and lower legs. We're going to get into all of that. And then I have some optional movements for you as well that you can add as you feel. So here are the 12 fundamental movements. Don't get too worried about, oh my gosh, I don't know what she means by shoulder squeezes. I don't know what Supermans are. I gotcha. Coming up in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a video that describes how to do each of these and has me demonstrating how to do each of the fundamental movements, because these movements, again, are specifically chosen for food service professionals to help your body function at a normal capacity. So join me for this quick video, and then we'll be back. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that little video that went through all 12 of these fundamental boost movements. And I want to go a little bit deeper into why I chose some of these. In a couple slides, I'm going to go through why some of these are important specifically for your profession. This handout is provided to you. I created it again specifically for this talk. So you can see here under the boost fundamental movements, we have what to choose from daily. And don't get scared because I said daily. It doesn't mean that if you miss a day or, oh, I don't have time every day, that's okay. That just means that these fundamental movements you can do every day if you have the capacity and the time. So again, we see the chest stretch, the shoulder squeezes, the glute bridge, the hand yoga, all of those things I demonstrated in the video. Now, if you look below that, in that second shaded area, the bonus boost, this is for those of you who might be a little bit, already fit, already in shape, or you're just ready for that next challenge. These movements I didn't demonstrate in the video, but I named them specifically so if you wanted to get on YouTube or Google search, how do I do wall sits or, what are snow angels? You can get on and Google search those or look on YouTube and I would just search for, whatever movement you're wanting. So snow angels exercise, and you will find videos that show you how to do it, just like the video I showed you. The high intensity ones are even more of a step up. And I provided this range because I know that my audience is probably wide ranging in their physical capabilities. And I want this handout to be useful and simple for everybody. Now, down at the bottom, you can see there's structure. There's standard sets and reps. There's a continuous approach. On my next slide, I'm going to talk about how we structure these boost activities so that you can put them together yourself. Okay, so I wanted to keep this simple enough. So we're going to start with standard sets and reps. If you've never done exercise before, this is probably new information for you. If you've done anything in the realm of exercise or physical therapy before, you'll probably recognize this information. Basically, a set is a collection of reps that you do. So let's take push-ups. One push-up is one rep. Two push-ups is two reps. Okay. So if you're doing a standard sets by reps, you're doing 3 sets of 10 push-ups or 3 sets of 15 push-ups. Okay. If it's a timed movement like the plank, you could choose, okay, I'm going to hold this plank for 10 seconds or whatever you want for your duration. And that is 1 rep. Again, lots of ways that you can put this together. I just want it to be simple enough that you can actually do it. Okay, so you do 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps or 30 seconds or whatever you choose for each exercise. Give yourself some rest in between and complete it with good form. Continuous movement is simply that. You just keep moving continuously. So for some people, I've encouraged this for just the simple stretching, like the boost fundamental movements that you saw on that handout. This might be good just to move through them and do them continuously without really resting or pausing in between. They're gentle enough that you can feasibly do this. You might also include something like walking or, in between reps, you go up and down the stairs if you have stairs in your house. Again, lots of different ways that you can put this together and just keep moving. So, the reason I chose some of those specific activities, here's what we're going to talk about. It is really important to have a strong, resilient body in food service. So, I wanted to provide these very specific movements because I know what it takes in food service to move your body. I know the demands that are put on you. So we want to balance out and counterbalance those movements that you're doing every day. What we know about physical therapy is that people who are doing repetitive movements and they don't counterbalance those movements will often experience pain, tightness, maybe even injury, a lot of soreness. And what do we know about sore bodies? We're less likely to move them. We're less likely to want to get up and move and do some exercise. So if you start with some of these fundamental movements, you might find you're feeling better enough and that can compound. Okay, so the first one, hand yoga. That little video demonstration I showed you, man, there is so much on the internet. If you just Google hand yoga video, you will get all kinds of different ideas. When you're chopping food, when you're working with your hands, when you're grasping utensils all day, you're carrying trays and using your hands all the time, it is very common to run into pain and tiredness. And again, those repetitive movements that can lead to injury and fatigue. So, hand yoga is a really great counterbalance for that hand fatigue that you might get. What about carrying things? Okay, think about this. Your arms are out in front of you a lot when you're working in food service. You're carrying things in front of your body. You're moving things. You're maybe even kind of twisting and reaching things farther away from you. Of course, we all go through, the proper, this is how you squat down and pick up something heavy. But think about it. Your arms are always in front of you, and we really get this tightness in the chest. One of the best things you can do to counterbalance that tightness is to do those shoulder squeezes I showed in the video. The point of those is to really squeeze your shoulder blades together. And it actually opens up the chest when you do that. The more you strengthen those shoulder blades, the more your chest will remain balanced and open, and you'll have that balance from front to back of your body. The chest opener stretch is another fundamental that I showed you in that video. Again, we're counterbalancing that tendency. Even if you're sitting at a desk all day, chances are your shoulders are slightly hunched. You're kind of leaning into the desk. I mean, I'm doing it right now as I'm giving this presentation. So, if you can intentionally open up that front body in a meaningful way, that can really reduce pain and fatigue in the upper back. Okay, aching feet. Couple exercises that really are helpful for this. The big one is the towel scrunches. So that one best to be done seated and with a linoleum floor or a tile floor or something slick so you can actually feel yourself grabbing that towel with your toes. This one is, man, I use this all the time when I was running a lot. And it was something that I learned over time that, even though I, have this fit body and it's very strong, those extremities get really taxed. And even though you're on your feet all day and you're walking a lot, man, your feet can really get tired and fatigued. And keeping them strong with an exercise like that is really critical. Now, you could also do the ankle circles that I showed you at the end of the video as well. That's another option for you to really strengthen and stretch those extremities, that lower body. Now, for the aching back, cat cow. I showed you that exercise in the video. I love that one for a couple reasons. First of all, you're on all fours, so there is no pressure on your feet. Sometimes the last thing you want to do after a long day on your feet is be standing more or be doing lunges or anything that involves your feet. Cat cow takes the gravity and puts it on a different pole of your body, which is basically, from your belly button down to the floor. So there's no strain on your feet, and it also engages your core without the strain on your neck, like you're doing if you're doing crunches or something like that. Crunches are totally fine, but I found that cat cow is specifically important for releasing the lower back. And again, you could see how my spine kind of moves in like a wave. So I'm stretching out that lower back and then I'm engaging it when I go into cow. Any other core exercise is going to be really helpful for relieving low back pain. So look at some of those other core exercises listed on the sheet. If you're experiencing low back pain, again, be gentle with yourself, start where you are, and pick a few and see how it feels. I want to just highlight real quick the difference between working and purposeful movement. I hope that I illustrated that already with some of the points I just made, that a lot of these movements you're doing in food service are repetitive. We want to counterbalance those and really open up your body in new ways, strengthening and stretching the areas that need it. Your body and your brain know the difference between being, quote, busy and moving all day throughout your work and just checking out and doing some very intentional movement purely for your physical health. Your brain will benefit from that. And I'm telling you, you will feel the difference. Okay, so just to reiterate, putting this all together, I want you to use the handout provided and select 4 of the Boost fundamental movements. I want one from each category. There's upper body, lower body, core, and then there's the extremities. If you're wanting more, consider adding 1 to 2 movements from the bonus Boost section. Okay. So, again, those are the moderate to high intensity activities. You can make it as hard as you want or as easy as you want. Again, be gentle with yourself, be smart about it. Select the structure that works for you. Again, you could do 3 sets of 10, 2 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15. You get to put it together. You can do it timed. You can do continuous movement. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes and I'm just going to keep going through these different movements and see how that feels. That is up to you to decide how you put this together. Make it your own and get creative and set a timer and get moving. Thank you so much for joining with me today. I am so happy to bring you this information. I hope you feel better mentally and physically, and you have been inspired to move and boost yourself in your daily life and in your job. Thank you.